Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. Back in the 70s, the old commander was ambushed by enemy forces. At that moment, my brother James, who was a regimental commander, and Michael, my childhood friend and a military doctor, were both busy helping our adopted sister Emily rehearse for a stage play. I didn't run to them for help. Instead, despite my disabled legs, I pushed my wheelchair with all the strength I had, forcing myself through the battlefield to reach the commander and block a fatal strike with my own body. In my previous life, I had gone to the cultural troop to find them. They rushed back and saved the commander. And because of their merits, both were promoted to ranks. But Emily ended up falling off the stage during rehearsal and died. When James and Michael learned of her death, they only said coldly, "It was her fate." Later, when I found out there was still hope for my legs to be treated, they gagged me and, like madmen, hacked off all 4 of my limbs. The pain nearly made me faint. I cried out, asking why they would do such a thing to me. But James just glared at me viciously and said, "There were so many people with the commander. What if you hadn't gone? You clearly held a grudge because Emily replaced you as the lead in the cultural troupe, so you deliberately pushed me to come back." Michael, eyes red with rage, shouted, "Do you know Emily still had a chance to survive when she fell? But because you weren't there, she missed the chance to be treated and died. If it weren't for your vanity and jealousy, none of this would have happened. It's all your fault." In the end, they brutally stabbed me to death. My corpse was tossed into a mass grave, left to rot without anyone caring. But when I opened my eyes, I had returned to the day the commander was ambushed. There's an ambush. Retreat. Seeing the rebel soldiers suddenly rush out from the bushes, I froze in place, still haunted by the searing pain of my death. But a moment later, I realized I had been reborn, back to the day of the ambush. Thinking of all that was to come, I snapped out of my shock and desperately searched for the commander. "Commander, please hold on." He had already been shot in the chest. He had lost too much blood, and his face was ghostly pale. His bodyguard, Logan, was doing everything he could to shield him and help him retreat. But I knew if he didn't get timely treatment, the commander wouldn't survive. I struggled to push my wheelchair forward, braving the storm of bullets to get to them. "Logan," I yelled, "come with me. I know a hidden cave nearby." Before Logan could even react, I threw myself forward, using my body to shield the commander from enemy fire. The commander stared at me in shock, his pale face full of disbelief and gratitude. But I knew this was only half the battle. Logan dragged both me and the commander into the cave. But unless help arrived soon, the enemy would catch us in no time. "Logan," I said urgently, "this cave isn't a dead end. Go another 200 meters in, and you'll find another exit. That exit leads to Lieutenant Commander Zach's base at the north end of town. It's only a mile away. Carry the commander there. I'll hold them off here." As I spoke, I stripped the commander's bloodied uniform from his body and put it on myself. Then I grabbed Logan's pistol. The commander watched my actions and immediately realized what I was trying to do. "No, comrade," he said. "I can't let you stay behind to cover for me. You have to come with us." But I gave him a bitter smile and pointed at my lifeless legs. "Commander, I'm crippled. I'll only slow you down. Please go with Logan. Hurry." Then I shoved Logan hard, urging them to leave. The enemy was closing in fast. As much as they hated to leave me behind, they had no other choice. Only when they finally disappeared did I let out a shaky breath of relief. James, my brother, is the full regimental commander at the northern base. Michael is the head physician at the military hospital. The commander's safety should have been their responsibility. But today, when the commander was ambushed, they weren't there. They were at the cultural troupe helping Emily rehearse a play. In my last life, I ran to the troupe to get them, worried they'd be punished if the commander died. Because of their heroic rescue, they were both promoted. But they believed I was jealous of Emily, who had taken my place in the troupe, and that I was vain and resentful. So when they found out my legs could still be saved, they slaughtered me like an animal. Thank God heaven had eyes and gave me another chance. Since I had been given a second chance at life, and they clearly didn't care about earning such a prestigious military merit, I figured I might as well give that honor to someone else. back when I still had full use of my legs, before Emily set me up and left me crippled. I had been the most outstanding performer in the entire cultural troupe. Now, wearing the old commander's coat and accompanying him as a decoy, I grabbed the handgun Logan had left behind and fought back with everything I had. Thanks to my convincing disguise, the enemy was momentarily fooled and began firing directly at me. But the truth was I had never actually been in a real battle. I had no combat experience whatsoever. In no time, bullets tore through my arm, my shoulder, and even my abdomen. Blood poured out of me like a broken dam, and it felt like a truck had run over every single one of my internal organs. My body screamed in agony. I was losing so much blood that my vision began to blur. But I bit down hard on my lip and forced myself to keep going. The northern base was only a mile away. If I could just hang on for half an hour, I might survive. Shaking, I straightened my body and kept shooting until my clip was nearly empty, saving just one last bullet for myself. Just as I thought I might die a hero this time around, Deputy Commander Zach arrived with reinforcements. Watching the enemies get wiped out, I finally couldn't hold on anymore. My body collapsed to the ground. And just before I lost consciousness, Logan rushed to my side, shouting over and over, "Comrade, hang in there. The commander has been thinking about you this whole time. You haven't even told him your name. You can't die like this." Deputy Commander Zach, seeing my face clearly for the first time, instantly panicked. He turned and yelled to the others, "Quick, go get James Lynn. This is his sister." As soon as those words were spoken, Logan's eyes turned red. "She saved the commander's life," he said. "I'll personally go bring Commander Lynn here." I wanted to stop him, to tell him not to bother, but the words caught in my throat, and I fainted before I could say anything. In a haze, I vaguely saw doctors urgently pushing me toward the operating room. Deputy Commander Zach's voice kept echoing in my ears. "Judy, hang in there. Think of your parents. Think of your brother. They're all still waiting for you." Logan echoed him desperately. "Don't worry, Comrade Judy Lynn. As soon as you're in surgery, I'll go get Commander Lynn myself. The commander hasn't stopped asking about you. He told me to tell you once you wake up, he's going to recognize you as his goddaughter. So please don't give up." Hearing them say that, I let out a bitter smile. Ever since my adopted sister Emily was brought home by my parents, I had lost everything. Why would they care whether I lived or died? Powerless to resist, I closed my eyes and let the doctors wheel me into surgery. I didn't know how much time had passed before I finally regained consciousness. The surgery was over, and the commander was sitting beside my bed. But before I could even adjust to being awake, I heard him roar with fury. "We're in the same damn hospital. Why the hell won't James Lynn come over?" Logan answered through clenched teeth. "Commander Lynn said he needed to help his sister bandage her wounds. He told me to tell Comrade Judy not to pull this whole pity act just to stir up drama." The old commander exploded, pounding his chest in anger. "Bandaging wounds? Aren't there doctors for that? Did you not tell him his own sister is dying?" Logan grit his teeth and said, "I told him everything, sir." But Commander Lynn refused to believe it. He even warned me not to cooperate with Comrade Judy in any kind of performance stunt. Hearing that, I couldn't help but give a bitter smirk. I could practically picture my brother's impatient expression while saying those words. The old commander was so furious he clutched his chest. But seeing me awake, he swallowed his rage and tried to stay calm. "If that bastard James won't come, then forget it. Go find Dr. Carter for Judy right now. There's still a bullet lodged in her abdomen. It needs to be removed immediately." But before he even finished, Logan stammered, "Commander, it's not that I didn't go. I did. But Dr. Carter, he won't come either." "What?" The commander snapped. "Why the hell not? To be honest, sir, both Dr. Carter and Commander Lynn are still at the Lynn house staying with Emily. They're tending to her together." By then, I wasn't even surprised. Ever since 5 years ago, when Emily was brought into our home, I'd been completely cast aside. Her birth parents had once saved our parents' lives, and James made sure I knew I had to give in to her at every turn. Even when I finally earned the lead role in the cultural troupe, something I'd worked so hard for, he forced me to hand it over to Emily. When I refused, he turned a blind eye as Emily pushed me down a flight of stairs. Emily deliberately caused my leg injury, so I could no longer perform on stage. Even after learning the truth, my brother James still insisted. We owe Emily. We're all one family. As her older sister, can't you be more understanding? Even Michael, my childhood friend and the military doctor I trusted most, sabotaged my treatment so Emily could live worry-free. He intentionally ruined my legs, sentencing me to a lifetime in a wheelchair. And then he had the nerve to scold me. Even if you never walk again, you still have me. But Emily only has herself. Why must you be so bitter and selfish? The fury I'd buried in my chest exploded, and I suddenly coughed up blood. The sound drew several people rushing into the room. When they saw that I was barely hanging on, the commander rolled up his sleeves and stormed out. His own sister is on the brink of death, and he's still babysitting that adopted girl. What kind of man is that? He growled. I'll go drag them back here myself and see what the hell they're really trying to do. Deputy Commander Zach quickly stopped him. Commander, you're still injured. Let me go. I know both Commander Lin and Dr. Carter personally. They should listen to me. The old commander glanced back at me, reluctant but forced to swallow his rage. Fine, he growled. Tell them if they don't show up now, I'll have them dealt with under military law. The commander had reached the limit of his patience. James and Michael had originally been assigned to accompany him on this mission. Not only had they failed to protect him during the ambush, but now they wouldn't even come when he summoned them. He wasn't just angry that I had no family by my side. He was furious at their shameless disregard for duty. Though I was still in critical condition, my mind was unusually clear. So when Deputy Commander Zach returned, disheveled and out of breath, leading others back into the room, I was able to force my eyes open. But what I saw crushed what little hope I had left. My parents barged into the hospital room with aggressive, accusing faces. The moment they saw me lying there, barely alive, they didn't say a word before my father slapped me across the face. He pointed at me shouting, Judy Lynn, how the hell did I raise such a wretched brat? You knew Emily was still getting her wounds treated, but you kept sending people to drag Dr. Carter away. Are you trying to kill her? My mother rushed to stop him but turned to me with a scolding tone. Judy, I know you're hurt. But you're not dead, are you? Why must you always be jealous and fight for attention? Emily has a head injury. She can't perform now. She just passed out from crying earlier, and now you're trying to upset her more. Hearing the disgust and blame in their voices, I couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. My mind flashed with memories from the past 5 years. How they'd always gently wiped Emily's tears while turning to glare at me in annoyance. 3 years ago, when college entrance exams were reinstated, I immediately signed up. Every night, I studied under dim lights until dawn. I worked relentlessly, memorizing textbooks while still doing house chores. I worked myself to the point of fainting, but I endured it all and finally earned a decent score. When the acceptance letter came, my parents slapped me across the face. Who gave you permission to test better than Emily? My father yelled. She's been crying all afternoon because of you. Don't tell me you used your brother's name to pull strings. How else could you have scored higher than her? You ungrateful brat, he spat. How could our family have raised something so deceitful? I'm going to the city right now to report you for cheating. I didn't understand what I'd done wrong. For years, they said the family could only afford to send one child to school, and forced me to give up my spot for Emily. They made me work and earn money so Emily could attend school. I toiled to support her education. And now, even when I managed to get accepted through my own effort, instead of being proud, they were furious, ready to report me. I refused to back down and brought out all my proof, showing I had no reason to cheat. But they wouldn't believe me. They still caused a huge scene and reported me to the city. Luckily, the exam officials were able to verify my integrity and the matter was resolved. I was overjoyed that I could finally go to college. But just as I was preparing to leave, I discovered my acceptance letter had vanished. I searched everywhere only to be shoved into the woodshed and locked inside by my parents. The next day, when school started, Emily walked in holding my acceptance letter and became the first college student in the entire county. Watching her bask in all that glory, My parents put on their usual fake concern and came to me saying, "Judy, don't go chasing after things that were never meant for you. Even if you don't go to college, we'll take care of you for the rest of your life." But Emily is different. We owe her family. We need to pay that debt back. When I tried to fight back, they simply locked me in the woodshed and left me there without food for 7 days. I eventually passed out from hunger and developed a high fever that left me gravely ill. But even after learning about it, my parents never came to check on me. The hatred that had been buried deep inside me could no longer be suppressed. I coughed up several mouthfuls of blood, overwhelmed by rage. Yet when my parents saw it, they scoffed coldly and said, "Judy Lynn, drop the act already. You've been faking illnesses since you were a kid just to compete with Emily for attention. You think we don't know your tricks?" My mother added, "I know you've got feelings for Michael, but stop using these pitiful stunts to try and get him to care for you. I'll tell you right now, we've always wanted Emily to marry him, so quit your little seduction schemes." She narrowed her eyes at me. "Your brother is already a regimental commander. Soon, Emily will be both the sister of a high-ranking officer and the wife of the hospital director. And you? You're nothing but useless. What do you have to compete with her? Just behave and stay out of the way. Even if you are my daughter, I won't go easy on you." At first, the commander thought this was a family matter and didn't want to interfere. But after hearing how my parents were treating me, he could no longer stand by. He stepped forward, ready to confront them, only to be slapped across the face by my father. "This is between me and my daughter," my father shouted. "You're just some outsider. My son is a regimental commander. Know your place and get the hell out." My mother joined in with her sharp tongue. "You little. What did you call Michael here today just to try and win him back? You think some random man from outside will suddenly fall in love with you again? Get over yourself. Michael's a famous military doctor now. He's only got eyes for our Emily." They sneered at the commander, too blind to recognize him because his blood-stained uniform had been swapped out for something plain, mistaking him for some ordinary man I had entangled myself with. They thought they had the upper hand, but the commander's face had turned stone cold. "Logan," he barked. "Arrest them, both of them." My parents tried to scream and curse, but the commander's next words left them stunned where they stood. "Take my seal. Notify James Lynn and Michael Carter. They're both dismissed from their posts. I want to see how they plan to keep bullying my goddaughter without their ranks to hide behind." Hearing him call me his goddaughter, I couldn't help tearing up. Ever since Emily stole everything from me, it had been so long since anyone stood up for me. My parents were in shock. Their eyes widened, their voices stuttering. "Goddaughter? She's my daughter. What the hell do you think you're doing? You dare strip my son and future son-in-law of their titles? Who do you think you are?" But before they could finish their rant, Logan gagged them and dragged them out of the room. Finally, the hospital room fell silent again. The doctors came in to check on me. My vitals had started to stabilize, and they finally breathed a sigh of relief. One of them told me they'd found a new lead surgeon to remove the bullet still lodged in my abdomen. The commander let out a long breath and gently patted my shoulder. "Judy, you're my goddaughter now. As long as I'm here, no one will ever hurt you again. Your only job now is to rest and recover. Don't think about anything else. I'll deal with the rest. You sleep. Once you wake up, I'll be right here." I nodded weakly. In my last life, the Jade Seal incident the commander investigated led to a wide-reaching probe. It involved not only the internal military, but also a deep investigation into the forces behind the rebel faction. Even James and Michael's promotions didn't come until a month later. Obediently, I told the commander not to worry about me, then slipped into a dazed sleep. When I woke again, it was Deputy Commander Zach who roused me. "The surgeon from the city has arrived," he said. "They've scheduled the abdominal operation." Pale and weak, I nodded and let him carry me to the surgical bed. But just as they were about to wheel me into the operating room, two figures burst through the door. Before I could even see clearly, Zach was knocked to the ground by a sudden punch, and I was kicked right off the surgical bed. It was James Lynn and Michael Carter. James's face twisted in fury as he slapped me hard across the face. "Judy Lynn, you little. So now you've grown bold, huh?" James shouted. You even dared to run to the old commander and spread rumors behind my back. Was it you who reported me and got me suspended? Just because I let Emily take your place in the cultural troupe. You've held a grudge ever since. Is that it? You trying to die or something? My cheek burned where he'd slapped me, already swollen and throbbing, but it still didn't ease his fury. He raised his hand again, ready to strike me a second time. But just as his hand lifted, Deputy Commander Zach, his expression dark and stern, grabbed James's wrist and stopped him. Commander Lynn, he said sharply, your sister is a patient. If you have something to say it properly. James finally noticed my pale face, my heavily bandaged body lying weakly on the floor, blood seeping through the gauze. He paused, stunned, as if he had just now realized how badly I was hurt. His eyes darted uncomfortably. Nah, what the hell happened to you? He muttered. Where the hell have you been messing around? I gave a cold, bitter laugh. My dear brother really was blind. He clearly saw how badly I was injured, yet his first instinct was still to blame me. As I refused to answer, Deputy Commander Zach stepped forward, about to explain what had happened. But Michael interrupted him. Furious, he kicked me in the stomach and shouted, pointing at both me and Zach. Judy Lynn, stop playing the victim already. What? You think finding some random man to side with you is going to make me jealous? Let me make it clear. I may have grown up with you, but I've never liked you. I've always loved Emily, so stop pulling these dirty tricks to mess with me. When we were kids, Michael and I had always been close. Our parents even used to joke that when we grew up, Michael would marry me. Back then, he was only 12, blushing so hard his ears turned red. But he still stood straight and solemnly swore that he'd only ever love me in this lifetime. I believed him. I truly thought I would marry him someday. Even when my family favored Emily and constantly overlooked me, I believed that Michael would always be on my side. But it turned out I was the only one who felt that way. Ever since Emily entered our family, my every effort was seen as manipulative. If I worked hard and got hurt, I was called dramatic. If I had a fever, it was seen as an attention stunt. Whenever I tried to earn anything on my own, all Emily had to do was cry, and Michael would immediately take her side. And to make sure Emily could steal my place in the cultural troupe, Michael, the doctor who was supposed to heal, deliberately ruined my legs, turning me into I couldn't even find the strength to hate him anymore. There was no room left in me for any affection. Seeing the fury on his face, I wiped the blood from the corner of my mouth and said calmly, Who you love is none of my business. Stop flattering yourself, Michael. I've never liked you. You've hit me. You've screamed at me. Are you done now? If so, move aside and let me get to surgery. Michael froze, stunned by my words. His eyes were bloodshot, and he stared at my calm, unflinching face as if trying to understand what had changed. Before I could make sense of his reaction, Emily appeared, stumbling into the room. She did look unwell, her face pale and drained. Her frail figure trembled as if a breeze could break her. The moment she arrived, James and Michael immediately rushed to support her like she were made of glass. Emily, what are you doing here? James asked anxiously. Didn't I tell you to rest? Tears welled in her eyes as she looked at them, delicate and sorrowful. James, Michael, I just heard that Judy was in this hospital too. So, I wanted to check on her. But then I heard you all fighting. This is all my fault. It must be because I took her role in the cultural troupe and made her unhappy. That's why she went and reported you both. I'm so sorry. She wiped away tears that spilled like strings of pearls. Her voice trembled as she added, I'll leave now. I'll pack my things. Whatever I owe Judy, I'll make it up to her. She looked so frail, so pitiful that even her tears seemed too delicate to touch. James, completely overwhelmed, gently wiped her tears, carefully coaxing her like she might break at any second. What nonsense are you saying, Emily? You'll always be my dearest sister. If anything, it's our family that owes you. Judy Lynn was just paying off a debt. What belongs to you will always be yours. You don't need to return anything. Michael jumped in, his voice full of urgency. Emily, don't be upset. Judy's just jealous because I like you. That's why she dragged some outsider in to stir up trouble. It's not the first time she's faked being sick. She's the kind of girl who competes with her own sister over everything. Just ignore her. Enough. Deputy Commander Zack finally exploded, furious at their endless accusations. I just gave a faint smile. Faking illness? Michael, if you had bothered to ask the nurses or check my medical records, you'd know whether I was pretending or not. And as for you, since Emily is the one you call your real sister, then let's settle this now. From this moment on, we're cutting all ties. Don't ever come near me again. Not for the rest of your life. The two of them froze, clearly shocked. Seeing I wasn't joking, their expressions darkened instantly. What the hell are you talking about? James snapped. You may have a terrible attitude, but you're still part of the Lynn family. You ate our food, wore our clothes, and now you've got the nerve to say you're cutting us off. Who the hell do you think you are? I let out a cold, bitter laugh. Oh really? You think I lived off you? Every meal I've eaten, I paid for with money I earned working. Mom and Dad never gave me a dime. They even took my wages and used them to pay for Emily's tuition. Every single piece of clothing I've ever worn was one of Emily's hand-me-downs. You say I'm a member of the Lynn family? Then why did I, the biological daughter of this family, live worse than a beggar on the street? My college admission letter, my spot in the cultural troupe. Emily took it all. And you still have the audacity to say it's not enough. My fury surged so violently that I could feel blood rising in my throat again. I pointed a shaking finger straight at Michael. And you, Michael, you were so terrified I'd recover and take back my role in the troupe that you deliberately gave me drugs to ruin my legs. You think I don't know? After learning the truth, I wanted to skin you alive. Like you, I wouldn't even like a dog if it had hurt me the way you did. Michael looked visibly shaken, his gaze flickered, and he turned his eyes away, clearly guilty. Judy, he said stiffly, I know being disabled has made you paranoid, but don't throw around accusations without proof. If you don't apologize to Emily and me right now, I swear I'll never speak to you again. I trembled with rage as I shouted. No proof? Then why don't you tell me exactly what drug you gave me, what treatment you used? You keep calling me A. But have you ever considered that it was you who destroyed my future? If I hadn't been disabled, I wouldn't have been hurt so badly during the ambush. I wouldn't have nearly died in that cave. And now you want me to apologize to you? You're disgusting. My voice broke into sobs as I collapsed in tears. James stood frozen, stunned by my outburst. He slowly walked toward me, and for the first time looked at me closely. You're just a girl. How did you get all these injuries? What happened to you? As he spoke, he abruptly yanked back the hospital gown covering my upper body. His eyes widened as he saw the gunshot wounds scattered across my skin. The arrogance on Michael's face finally began to crack. But I didn't care whether he felt guilt or regret. My mind was still stuck in the memory of nearly dying in that cave, my body bleeding out while no one came to help. Just as I lifted my hand to push the two of them away, Emily suddenly pointed at Deputy Commander Zack and exclaimed, "So that's what happened." Everyone turned to her, confused. Emily's expression turned pained and hesitant. James, Michael, in our troupe, we use a special kind of stage prop artificial blood gel made from imitation crab paste. It looks just like real blood on stage. Last time I went to Judy's place, I saw her hiding some. She threatened me not to tell anyone or she'd beat me to death. She lowered her eyes. Now that I think about it, this must all be part of another one of her stunts. Just more drama to get attention. And Deputy Commander Zack, I've seen him at her place more than once. Maybe this whole thing is an act and they've been working together all along to fool everyone. Her words ignited James and Michael's fury again. So there really is such a thing as fake blood? James growled. Judy Lynn, that's sick. You actually faked this whole thing. Partnering up with an officer to lie and manipulate everyone. Michael sneered. You really are twisted. Faking injuries to get sympathy. Using a military officer to pull it off. You've got some nerve. As they hurled more and more filth my way, I suddenly laughed. A cold, hollow sound. I didn't understand how far they were willing to go to lie to themselves. Michael, James, if either of you had even a shred of common sense, you'd be able to see that these are real gunshot wounds on my body. And if you're wondering why I have them, well, that's thanks to you. You ignored the commander's safety just to stay by Emily's side. so I had to take his place and catch a bullet for him. I almost died in that cave. My voice was calm, but my fingers were clenched so tightly into my palm that my nails drew blood. You've both shown your true colors. Reckless, heartless. Today, I'm cutting ties with you for good forever. But James and Michael didn't believe a word I said. Completely ignoring the wounds still bleeding on my body, they grabbed me and tried to drag me out of the room by force. As they pulled, they hurled insults. You filthy liar, James snarled. You dare keep lying? I'm taking you to the commander myself. I won't let you ruin my career. Deputy Commander Zach immediately stepped in to block them. Miss Lynn is about to go into surgery. If you take her now, you're sending her to her death. But James shot back coldly. Still acting, huh? And you, her accomplice, you're not any better. Get the hell out of our way. Without hesitation, he pulled out a pistol and aimed it at Zach's forehead, his voice threatening and arrogant. At that exact moment, a calm but authoritative voice echoed behind us. Let's see who dares to take my goddaughter away. A gunshot rang out. Before anyone could react, Logan, standing protectively at the commander's side, fired and hit James in the arm. With a pained grunt, James dropped his gun and Deputy Commander Zach seized it instantly. The commander's eyes burned with fury as he glared at James. His voice was sharper than ever, his stare colder than ice, like he was staring down a corpse. James and Michael were paralyzed by the commander's overwhelming presence. It was like standing before death itself. Shaking uncontrollably, they dropped to their knees, too scared to say a word. James Lynn Michael Carter, the commander said, his voice thunderous. One of you is a regimental commander, the other a chief military doctor. But when you received orders, you refused to assist. Instead, you stayed behind to help your adopted sister rehearse a stage play. If it hadn't been for Judy, I'd be dead by now. I owe her my life. That's why I made her my goddaughter. But what about you? One of you didn't even care about your real sister, and the other refused to operate on her. And then you both dared to beat and insult her, spread lies, and create chaos. Our army has no use for people like you. People who can't tell right from wrong, who abandon their duty, and behave like animals. Get out. Take your selfish, twisted parents and get the hell out. The commander's every word hit like a hammer. His authority filled the room, pressing down until James was left speechless. But the fear in his eyes wasn't just from the commander's anger. It was from realizing his future was crumbling in front of him. Trembling, he lowered his proud head and stammered out an excuse. Commander, Emily's parents were martyrs. They once saved my mom and dad on the battlefield. That's why I've always looked after her. To repay that kindness. What my parents said earlier was just thoughtless anger. They didn't mean it. Please don't take it too seriously. Michael quickly tried to explain as well. Yes, sir. Emily fell off the stage during rehearsal today. She hit her head. Her life was in danger. That's why I couldn't come operate on Judy. Sir, life is precious. No matter whose it is, you can't just punish me for that. James jumped in again, trying to shift the blame onto me. And besides, Commander, my sister has always been difficult. How can you believe a few of her words? This mission was classified at the highest level. If it hadn't been leaked by someone close to you, how could the enemy have known? He narrowed his eyes at me. It's strange, isn't it? Judy hardly ever leaves home since becoming disabled. But somehow, she showed up right where the ambush happened and even took a bullet for you. And then instead of coming to me, her brother, she went to Zach, someone she barely knows. There's no way that's a coincidence. I suspect she's the one who leaked our security plan. Maybe even Emily's fall was her doing. All just to turn you against us and take revenge on our entire family. Commander, we followed you through fire and blood for years. How can you trust this woman over us? James' face was full of fake sincerity, his eyes even glistening with tears like he was truly the one being framed. But before I could open my mouth to respond, the commander tossed a folder of evidence onto the floor in front of them. And Michael, in turn, destroyed all the evidence to protect them both. My thoughts snapped into place, and I suddenly turned to the commander. Sir, the reason I happened to be near the ambush site that day was because Emily insisted Mom and Dad wanted goose from the city. She forced me to go buy it. I just happened to pass by and saw the ambush in progress. I went to Deputy Commander Zach, not James, because I know James too well. I was afraid he wouldn't come. He'd let his grudge get in the way for Emily's sake. That's why I asked someone to find Zach instead. The commander stepped forward and gently helped me up. Child, I know this wasn't your doing. I already reviewed Emily's hospital records and the cultural troop's internal investigation. She didn't fall by accident. No one pushed her. She jumped on purpose. It was all staged. Meant to set up a perfect excuse to kill me. And you? She tricked you into walking into it, hoping to use your hands to do her dirty work. Don't worry, that spy. She'll be dealt with severely. I'll make sure your name is cleared. When Emily heard the words dealt with severely, her composure shattered. If you want me dead, you better pray you live long enough to do it, she snarled. The sweetness on her face vanished, replaced by a twisted, vicious expression. In a flash, she pulled a handgun from inside her clothing and pointed it at the commander's back. Commander, look out! I shouted. Without hesitation, I threw myself in front of him and shoved him aside. 2 gunshots rang out at the same time, but the next second, there was no pain in my body. I opened my eyes, trembling, and saw Emily lying on the ground, blood pouring from her chest. She had taken a bullet and collapsed instantly. Deputy Commander Zach stood beside me, his face pale with lingering fear as he slowly lowered his smoking gun. You okay, Judy? He asked. I nodded and motioned for him not to worry. Emily was still alive, but barely. Blood gushed from her wound, and James threw himself at her, cradling her in his arms. Emily, Emily, what were you thinking? Michael, shaking uncontrollably, pressed his hands to her wound, trying and failing to stop the bleeding. Please, Commander, he cried, falling to his knees. You owe me your life. Please, I'm begging you. Give Emily another chance. She's still alive. If we operate right now, we can save her. James also dropped to the ground, pleading, Commander. Emily's parents were martyrs. Even if she made a mistake, please forgive her just this once. Watching the 2 of them grovel and beg, I couldn't help but wonder if our positions were reversed. Would they ever beg like this for me? Of course not. Their pleas rang with self-righteous guilt, and the commander simply let out a cold laugh. Blind. Absolutely blind. He scoffed. You didn't even realize she's not the real Emily Lynn. What? She's a spy trained by the enemy nation, he continued. Once she learned about the connection between your parents and the real Emily's family, she deliberately impersonated her and wormed her way into your lives. They stole your trust. And yet, you still treated her like she was the daughter of martyrs. James stared in disbelief, his eyes wide with shock. No, this isn't possible. Emily, she... Before he could finish, the commander pulled out an official document and held it up for all to see. The real Emily Lynn died of a serious illness 5 years ago. This is her cremation certificate. She's been dead for years. He held up another paper. And here, this is her hospital record from back then. Her blood type was A. But this woman in the hospital today, her record says she's blood type B. If this isn't proof enough, I don't know what is. The one pretending to be Emily Lynn is nothing more than a spy sent by the enemy nation. James Lynn, open your eyes. Your real sister is standing right in front of you, but you've been treating a spy like family. You are unbelievably blind. James hadn't even finished reading the documents when Michael snatched them out of his hands. His eyes widened as he read through the irrefutable evidence, and he began to mutter as if in a trance. How could this be? Emily was already dead. So all of this, it was all fake. Meanwhile, the wounded imposter, Emily, realizing her identity had been fully exposed, suddenly burst into a manic fit of laughter. You're all so stupid, she shrieked. You treated your real sister like garbage while giving everything to me, a total stranger. It's hilarious, pathetic. All that talk about childhood love. She laughed wildly. Didn't matter. I still seduced you. Made you fall into my arms. Made you believe it all. You were obsessed with me, and you didn't even know who I was. It's disgusting. Her laughter echoed off the hospital walls, mad and mocking, until her breath caught mid-cackle, and she finally stopped. The commander exhaled deeply and gave his final order. Logan, take them away. James Lynn and Michael Carter are guilty of serious misconduct. Transfer them to the military tribunal. They are to be dealt with severely. Logan saluted and moved to carry out the command. Just as he stepped forward, James and Michael collapsed to their knees in front of me. "Judy, I was wrong," James sobbed. "I just realized how horribly wrong I was. You're my real sister, and I was completely blind. I treated you so cruelly. I let myself be deceived. Please, Judy, please forgive me." Michael choked back tears beside him. "I see it now. It was always you. I was fooled, manipulated. I didn't mean to hurt you. Please, for the sake of all the years we grew up together, can't you forgive me?" I looked at the two of them groveling like dogs, and I let out a cold, joyless laugh. "You're not sorry for what you did," I said. "You're just scared of dying. You think that if you beg me, I'll take pity on you and save you. Well, let me be clear. I'm not going to forgive you. And I'm certainly not going to save you after everything you did to me in my past life. And now, after finally watching justice catch up with you, do you really think I'd go soft?" I watched as they were dragged away like broken animals. And for the first time in years, I felt I could breathe. The commander let out a long sigh of relief, then turned to me and waved for the nurse. "Now that Judy's vengeance is complete, it's time for her to go into surgery. Don't worry, the doctor I've brought in is 100 times better than Michael Carter. You'll be just fine." I managed a genuine smile for the first time. "Thank you, sir." Later, James Lynn was sentenced to 10 years by the military tribunal. Michael Carter's medical license was revoked for crippling me, and he was given 2 years in prison. I heard that when he got out, he tried to find me again. But when he learned that I had married Deputy Commander Zach, he went completely mad. As for my parents, when they found out that the girl they favored for years wasn't just a fraud, but an enemy spy, they came crawling back, asking me for forgiveness. They tried to guilt me, saying we shared blood. Even got on their knees and begged me to care for them in their old age. I was done. I threw some money their way and officially severed all ties. After that, I moved into the military base and cut off all contact with them.